red dresses to my friend's summer wedding. And I put the dress on the first time it came in the mail, and I thought I was going to throw up. Like, I hated the way I looked. And so I was really down on myself, and I actually found myself in bed one night watching TV, and a T25 infomercial came on, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've done Insanity. I love Shaun T. Let me just get it. So I actually did the same thing that Rose did, and I went on Amazon, and I got T25 for the cheapest price that I could find it. But the cool thing about it is that I was assigned a free coach, and I think I was probably assigned a coach in the past or something, and they never contacted me. And this time, about a month after I had started T25, my coach, Nicole, contacted me, and she just wrote me this really long email about how life had gotten in the way, but that she was my coach and she wanted to talk with me and see if she could help me with anything. And I just emailed her back one day from work, and we got to talking, and she just encouraged me and told me that I should really try out Shakeology. I was like, okay, I guess I can, I'll try it. I like to be healthy. So I tried vegan strawberry for my first one, and I almost threw it up, and I hated it. And it was awful. I can remember going somewhere with my husband and drinking it and trying not to puke out the window, like in the car. And it was literally that bad, but I was like, I have to do this. I have to be healthy. And so I talked to Nicole, and she was like, oh my gosh, don't do something you don't like get a different kind. And so she really helped me as far as like recipes and all of those different things. And I fell in love with Shakeology, and I finished T25, and just, I felt like I had felt when I was playing college volleyball, like I had a purpose and something to be working towards. And so Nicole told me she thought I would be a good coach. And so I joined up with her, and just the feeling of getting to encourage and motivate people like I did when I was playing volleyball in college was just something that spoke to me. And I realized that the more encouraging I was to others, the more that positive mindset started to rub off on me. And so I just knew that I had to tell everybody about this opportunity. And so now my best friend is on board, and my mom drinks Shakeology with me, and my sister-in-law used the 21-day fix to get rid of her baby weight, and it's just kind of compounded to our entire family. And it's just one of those things where kind of like Rose said, like, I chose it thinking that it would help me. I chose it, if nothing else, to do it for myself. And even to this day, I mean, I've gone through periods of time where I felt like I just didn't have time to coach, or whatever you want to say, but I continued to do it, and I continued to try to support and motivate other people because it only helped me better myself. So that's my story.
Cool. Thanks, Rachel. So I'd like to point out what Rachel said in her story too. She shared how she felt and how it made her feel. And the results of it, not just, pounds or weights, but how it made her feel. So also, include that story, if you don't have, with me, you left your job or bought a new house, include those small things. It helped your mom, it helped your sister-in-law, it helped, you feel like you had, your passion back again. You feel like, whatever. All right, who's up next?
I'll go.
Oh, you go ahead. You're more than no. Go ahead.
Okay. So I started to tell my story last week. Now that we're talking about it, I told my story and my why at the same time. But I'll tell it again, and I'll tell it a little bit. It doesn't hurt to have practice. So I let me just think about this for a second. So my story stems back probably 5 years before I actually decided to join Beachbody. I'm a mom. I have 3 little girls, and when I, two of them being twins. When my husband and I found out that we're having twins, life just like completely changed. We weren't expecting to have them, and obviously, it was a huge surprise. So, I'm sorry, I'm changing my story at the beginning. I don't know why.
It's okay. My tip would just be like, sometimes I would do that too. Like I try and change it. Just try and stick with the basic.
Okay.
The same thing that way. Like next time, it's just it's just repeated.
Yeah.
But good practice though.
All right. So after I had my twins, I actually developed some postpartum anxiety and anxiety depression. It was difficult enough to take care of one baby the first time I had one. Now I was taking care of two babies and a toddler. And it was right after Hurricane Sandy. And I just remember vividly that the hurricane happened and we were stuck in our house for an entire week with two 1-month-old brand new babies, a toddler. We had no power, and it was just like chaos. And I think that was like my turning point for going downhill. And things were tough. So I eventually went back to work when my kids were about 5 months old, and it was challenging taking care of little kids, going to work. I had to get them all out the door myself to daycare every morning. And my husband has to work really early. So, it was like, do that, go to work, come home, take baths, take care of the kids, do everything. It was just like constant, nonstop stress. And I absolutely love my kids to death, but, it's a lot and it's overwhelming. And the anxiety that I developed on top of that made it worse. I got depressed and started to just feel like it was like day in and day out, and everything that I was doing was the same. And it was just, I was like running in a circle, and my life would never change. I gained some weight and obviously wasn't really happy. We had some credit card debt because we were not really expecting to have two kids. We had a little bit before that, but the financial burden of having, two babies when we weren't expecting them, had to buy new cars. We had to buy double the stuff that we needed for our kids. Everything was not really planned, and I was out of work for 7 months with pregnancy complications. Life got tough, but I was depressed too. And so I used to go to Target. I know I tell you guys I love Target, but I really do. But I used to spend my free time, my mommy time at Target and just shop. And part of it was actually in my head, my way of coping with my depression. And it ended up becoming bad because I racked up some credit card debt. So one day I finally decided that this is now, 5 years later, I just finally decided that I was going to join a challenge group. My coach was posting about it online, and I decided that I was going to do it. I had some amazing results. I did Body Beast, and I lost about 15 pounds, but just really toned up, and I just felt amazing. I had physical changes, but I don't know. I felt so good inside. I felt healthy. I felt like I was taking care of my body and taking care of me. I wasn't, I could spend 40 minutes every night doing something for me and not my kids, and no one was crying or calling my name or pulling my leg. And it was just me and my DVD player. And it was amazing. And I absolutely love, the programs, and I decided to become a coach about a month later. And I wasn't really expecting to get everything, the emotional accomplishments that I feel from being a coach and helping others, and someone telling me how amazing they feel. I wasn't expecting to get that, but it's such an amazing reward that I want to keep helping people more and more. So it's helped my kids. It's helped my marriage, believe it or not. My husband's gotten healthier. My mom drinks Shakeology. We're just about ready to pay off our first credit card. So we're close. We've got a long way to go, but I don't have a lot of accomplishments. I'm not going to tell this to people yet, but I don't have a lot of accomplishments yet, but my goal is to be able to pay off all of our debt by the end of the year, sell our house, and save to buy a house next year. And I'm just so excited to be able to do the things that I never would have imagined that, I would be able to do that. This is like such an amazing company and team. So, I'm really glad to be able to share that with people.
Cool. No, I loved how you ended it with having and telling your goals, where you're going to go in the future. Very awesome. Thank you. Erin, you want to go next?
Sure. Okay, mine's actually pretty simple. I think in December of 2014, I was on Facebook and I noticed Courtney, who's my coach, posting, like, I didn't even know what she was posting about. Didn't even know it was Beachbody. And I was just like, girl, what are you doing? Like, you're still that all-star, because we went to high school together. She graduated a year after I did. And but we played field hockey together. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? Like, whatever it is, I don't really actually care. It's just exciting, motivating, and inspiring. And I've always been physically active, but once I had my daughter, I had a very troubling pregnancy. I was pretty fearful thereafter, and I had similar things too my pregnancy was a nightmare. My gynecologist told me I was miscarrying twice when I wasn't, and I had the postpartum anxiety, and I was just a lunatic. And then I also had a very, very, very stressful job. And about when she was 11 months old, I had gotten laid off. Actually, I got laid off, but I really didn't. It was a lot more complicated than that. But I made insane money, but I worked insane hours. And that was part of my anxiety on top of that, being a first-time mom. And I just let it spiral. I just let life take its course. Then when 2014 came around and I saw Courtney's stuff, and now mind you, my daughter's 4, and I decided that she was big enough for me to, like, was that helicopter paranoid mother too. Like, to this day, I will not let, like, her go over into play dates without me. Like, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. I don't know who your husband is, and I don't care. My kid's not being left in the house with a male. Like, that's how I am. So I've let go of that a little bit when I reached out to Courtney, and I sent a simple whatever. What are you doing? Tell me what you're doing. She's like, oh, I'm a Beachbody coach. I'm like, great. I'll get back to you on that. And it was not a negative. I get back to you. I got to figure out my life because I like what you're doing and I want to do it. I just can't do it this second. Unfortunately, at that time, my grandfather had passed away, and I was raised in my grandparents' house, my paternal grandparents' house. My mother died when I was very young. I'm the oldest of 3. We took on, I've been working full-time since I was 16. So he passed away, and he lived a long, healthy life. He was like a month away from 90. And then I had to take over his estate, and then I had to take over his power of attorney of my grandmother because my grandmother had dementia. And then unbeknownst to that, 3 months after he passed, she was diagnosed with terminal cancer that had spread to 3 other organs. And at this point, Courtney was like following up with me and being really cool. And I just was paying attention. And I think it was 3 months after my grandmother being sick. And at this point, this was April of this past year. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to stop these things in life. And I feel like shit. I look like shit. And sorry for the language. I just have a foul mouth. And it's either now or never. I've had this excuse since I've been pregnant. I got to do it, and I'll just deal with it. So the whole thing's still ugly with that. But I am so compulsive too. I sat there and I'm just adding the story where I should not be adding story. But I was like, all right, Courtney, what's that program again that I really, really, really like that I told you I like? She's like Insanity Max Study. I'm like, all right, done deal. And 20 minutes later, I messaged her back. I'm like, all right, it's ordered, and I'm signed up as a discount coach. I don't know about the business part yet, but I'll let you know in 2 weeks or 3 weeks when we're done with the challenge group. And that was it. And the challenge group, and I think there was quite a bit of the team that now that I know is on the team. I didn't know they were part of the team then. And it was just that chemistry, the pure, it was an emotional thing for me. It wasn't so much that I got amazing results. I did get amazing results, but it was the emotional connection of, damn, these women are inspiring. They're not catty assholes. I want to be surrounded by great people, and this is where I'm going with. And I don't care about anything else. And that was pretty much it. So now I'm a Beachbody coach. I should really shorten that story.
No, I think that's great. I would just kind of add, even if you haven't been a coach for that long, I would just kind of add a little bit more of like, what are your goals? Where do you see yourself going with this? But no, I thought it was great. I
know all the goals. Next time I'll share them.
Okay.
I'm going like my 5-star diamond by December. That's my goal.
I love that goal. That's awesome.
I know it's insane, but
no, it's not insane. It's the whole year.
I know, but I always like to shoot for another universe because either way I'll land amongst the stars.
You got it.
So that's my goal. Now I'm acting crazy on Facebook.
All right, Aileen, you're up. Did you kind of get what we're doing?
Yeah, sorry. I think so. I had a wrestling match, and I didn't see my son, like Jack, last night. So I had to put him to bed tonight because we had basketball last night. So that's all part of my why I'm doing this. So basically, Rose asked me for 2 years to be a coach, a Beachbody coach, and I was like, probably every month I was like, tell me more, and I probably made her insane. And I was like, tell me more. It sounds good. It sounds good. But I grew up swimming, playing soccer. I swam in college. I'm an athletic trainer. I'm like, I can do this on my own. I was doing triathlons, and I was like, I don't have time. I know how to go to the gym and all this stuff. So finally, 2 years later, I had my son, and I was like, how do I go to the gym and have him, and how do I work, and how do I survive? So I saw Rose post that she was like something about making money, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. And finally I decided, because I needed something to do. I didn't have the heart to take him to the gym and have babysitting so I could take care of myself. I couldn't do it because I was distraught about working to begin with. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so that's what I thought you do. I thought everybody did that. I'm like, who works? You have a kid and that's it. And that's not really reality. So I was like, how the heck am I going to do this? I can't leave him to go to work. How am I going to leave him to go to the gym? So I started doing the 21-day fix, and I continued to do a half marathon, and it made me I did one in May after I had my son, and I could feel that I had no core strength at all. And then after I did the 21-day fix like a few times, I did another half marathon, and it was like I felt like I was like in college again. Like I did the best time that I ever did before having a baby. So it was just great. And I got my mom involved, who I've been like every summer. She's a teacher, and every summer she loses like a few pounds, and then she goes back to work and she gains it back, and it's just like a vicious cycle. So it was like pulling teeth to get her to try this shake, and she did it, and she's been on it for like since July, and she's lost 18 pounds, and that's like so exciting because she normally we were both saying like we've never worked out this much in January since I was like in college. That was the last time I like worked out this much. So that's kind of like my why, which I feel like I was a little anxious, so I like just rambled a little bit. But I meant to say this also, that like the shakes, I was like, part of the reason I wasn't going to ever do it was because I'm like, I don't do stuff like that. Like I'm a very picky eater. And I'm like, no way can I do this. So like my first shake, I was like, said to my husband, I'm like, oh my God, how the heck am I gonna do this? I'm like, this is so awful. And I'm like, no, I'm like, how? And he was like, he had to finish mine. Like I couldn't do it. I'm like this, I was like so distraught that it was like this bad. And then I like tried different recipes, and now I like love it. So like I like that happened to me, because now like other people, I'm like, just, you need to make it a few times sometimes, like, and figure out the right way. And it's like so good. I have one every single morning, and it's like, I should have probably started 2 years ago, that first conversation we had. So thank you for being persistent.
It's all good. So just add, like where, because this is like your story of like why you became a coach.
Yeah.
So maybe go into like where do you see this going for you? What do you want to accomplish with this?
Okay. Yeah. So I would love to be like I want to be a stay-at-home mom. It's like it's so hard to leave, and like people are like, it gets better. And I'm like, it gets harder because now he like knows like what's happening. Like he says like, Ma, and I'm like, oh my God, how do I leave? So that is like, would be like my, like just to bring in some extra income that I could, that we don't have to stress. Like, I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom that like, we can't do anything. And I like want to be able to do the things that we do now. So it's like such a hard thing to figure out. But that is why I want to be able to provide and not be like stressed about money, so I can be able to spend more time because I want to have more kids, and I want to be able to spend time with them and go to all their functions and not worry when they're sick that I like, do I go to work? Like, am I all in at work, or am I all in at home? Like, how the heck do you decide? So that's my why.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. So the reason why, I have you guys speak on like the Emerald to Diamond group calls is because, it kind of gets that nervousness out of you for like when you're kind of ready to run your own calls and have your own team, and kind of just to push yourselves a little bit outside of that comfort zone. Aileen, I don't know if you were on, but this was the book that I was talking about earlier, of why you want to be sharing your story and kind of the emotional side of your story. And just like, like you were saying, like what your story about being a stay-at-home mom and wanting to have more kids, like people can relate to that. People don't relate to here, buy this bag of Shakeology for $130. People don't want to hear that. Like people want to hear that background of your story of like why you did this, how to make you feel like when you're able to do your marathon and like all that kind of stuff. So for your homework for what is tonight, Thursday, I would say like for your Sunday night post is have a clip it of your story and you can, obviously put a selfie or put a picture of your family, or, like if you have like one of your goals is to be a stay-at-home mom. So, just have like a picture with your kid or something, and say, I became a Beachbody coach because, and just kind of like do a short snippet of your story. That way, people have been watching me for 3 years, and I still, talk snippets about my story because maybe someone didn't see it that day, or maybe somebody has to hear my story like 600 times before they actually are like, oh, okay. And I'm not saying anything about you, Haley. I'm just saying, like, in general, like people want to see that you're consistent and not, that you're not just going to fall off the wagon with this. So sharing your story is just probably the most important thing that you could be doing on social media, and how people are going to connect with you. So that's why on Sunday night, you're going to make your story post, and whatever part of your story. And you can obviously, post it in the group page, and then we can kind of help you, snip it down, because sometimes people like to make it too long, or it's too short, or this or that. We can kind of help you guys work on that too. Did you guys have anything? I didn't read the comments from today's post, but from the previous posts this week. Anyone have any questions or anything that want to talk about before we jump off tonight?
I'll say something. I definitely think when you post parts of your story, one of the best things that you can do is kind of start it out with something that catches people's attention, because sometimes when you write a longer post, everybody does it on your phone. You just keep scrolling instead of reading it. But it's kind of like when you were in school and you were in those like English writing classes, and they talked about your first paragraph and making it about what you're about to talk about. Like, find a way to make that first sentence something that's going to catch people's attention. Like, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, then you can say something like the last thing I wanted to hear this morning was, Mom, why are you leaving me again? And then people are going to be like, okay, like, I want to keep reading this. I want to know what she's talking about, kind of thing. So just keep that in mind, that some of the longer posts can be more difficult to hold people's attention, but if you really grab it at the beginning, then they want to read the rest of your story.
That's a great point. And then if I can't find the words or like even get it started, I'll go to like other coaches' pages and just kind of grab like snippets, or grab like, words that kind of make me go, oh, why didn't I think of that word? And then you can kind of then piecemeal your story in there. But I think everyone's doing really awesome in the group. Everyone's kind of posting each day right after I pretty much like post it. People aren't kind of like waiting until the weekend and getting it done, which helps me and Rachel to kind of keep up and not have to read like 30 things at once. So that is always helpful. Anyone else? Any comments, questions, anything? No? We're good? All right, guys. We'll probably do the same time next weekend. What did I have? I just wanted to see what I had for next weekend. Oh, failure. That's what we're going to talk about next week, is failure. So that should be fun. All right, guys. Thanks for jumping on, and we'll see you in the group.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.